All right, we're in here. We're in here like swimwear or something like that. I think it's supposed to go in there like swimwear. Uh Anyways, how y'all doing? Welcome back. This thing needs some help. I don't know. Gonna work on that. And as always, just a ton to talk about. um, Again, if I had every day, all day, I could do multiple videos and a live stream every single day, just covering the news that comes across my desk. So virtual onslaught. All right, we got a couple of viewers. Hello, CB. How you doing? So yeah, come on in, everybody. Like the video so that everybody knows we're live. I always say that I have a short amount of time, and then I always end up going about an hour, but I do have a hard cutoff at 2 today. So, hello, going south. So I'm going to try and wrap it up around 1:45 or so. But come on in and let's get to discussing. Lots going on politically, lots going on climate-wise. Going south, going live in an hour exactly from now. So check that out, going south, going live in 1 hour. Gazar. Huzzah. And come on in. So, I guess in political news, there's been a ceasefire, or what looks like to be a ceasefire between Turkey and the Kurds, or Turkey and Syria. Hopefully that is something that is holding true, or is going to hold. I guess Trump has not been helping the situation because he's doing all kinds of other Trump-like things. But anyways, so leave it to Mike Pence and whatever his name is, Pompeo, the two Mikes, to get some kind of ceasefire thing going on. So yeah, just watching that situation. So I covered the high amounts of snow that hit the Midwest and Canada, and I guess so. What's happening is that this blizzard, this snow, has affected the crops. So there are crops still in the ground that needed to be harvested, and this is affecting the harvest. So after a whole spring or summer where there was just flooding, and people had to get the crops in the ground late, and that was impacting food production in the Midwest, in the U.S. and in Canada. Now this blizzard, this snowstorm, is now going to impact the crops on the other end, which is really very scary. And who knows what that means for this year? Who knows what that means, if that means anything for food supplies this year? I don't know. Lord Hugh is coming on screen with me from Greece. That's going south, with his critical take on XR anti-tube train fiasco. And I don't really know too much about that. So they were boycotting the tubes, or they were shutting down the tubes. Anyways, that should be a good discussion. Oswald Spengler says, I've been having Lord Hugh withdrawal. I haven't seen Lord Hugh in a while, honestly, myself. Oh my God. Proudhon says Stuart Basden of XR. So this is somebody with XR, says XR is not about climate. It's about white supremacy, patriarchy, and heteronormativity. Okay. Sure. Well, that, yet another, so XR getting the attention that they're getting. You just see smear after smear. You see, misinformation after misinformation. They're trying to, they're all a part of the elite's big plan to take over the world with renewable energy. They're pushing the Green New Deal. They're all white supremacists. They're all sexist. It's like all the people that follow Bernie, right? Anybody who supports Bernie is a sexist and, a lunatic lefty, and, they're all white guys with beards that look like me. No. Speaking of Bernie Sanders, Ocasio-Cortez and Ilhan Omar just endorsed Bernie Sanders. Just a couple of Bernie bros endorsing Bernie Sanders. Huge boost for Bernie Sanders in the States, because this kind of flies in the face of everybody thinking that, of the Bernie bro myth, and B, the Warren support now is going to look a little more shaky. You've got two very popular members of Congress supporting Bernie Sanders, and that is a good look for Bernie Sanders. CB Unglesby says the family farms are getting beaten up. Most will not make it. Proudhon 100 says if it were not for London transport staff, XR protesters might have suffered injury at the hands of commuters. All right, Osama, welcome. Psyched that you're here. Psyched that we're all here. A boy in a shopping cart. He's alive. John Doe. Hello. Or John Dow. Sorry if I mispronounced that. Gazar says XR protesters still eat meat. You can bet. So I didn't see the link. Proudhon. Basden actually wrote that stuff. So that's what he thinks, or I don't understand. I'm confused completely and totally, but I don't see how that's even remotely true or possible, and I don't really get it. But am I concerned about Bernie's age? Bernie is in better health mentally and physically than Biden, for sure. Yes, he's going to be pretty dang old if he wins the presidency. I would say, my greatest hope is that there's a Bernie Tulsi Gabbard ticket. Tulsi Gabbard is quite young, in her 30s. They're aligned in a lot of ways. I think a Bernie Sanders presidency would hinge on somebody really good being the vice president. Even though the powers that be will just absolutely lose their minds over that ticket. But I don't know. I'll check it out. Proudhon, I'll check out the link. Green Planta, how you doing? Tom R, how you doing? Osama says Bernie is tough. That's right. He's a tough old bear is what he is. He's just, Anthony Davis, how you doing? Yeah, I don't think Bernie's I think Bernie's in great health. And now he's got the stints in, and he's looking better than ever. I don't know. He just needs to get in there. If you recall, if anybody has any historical remembrance, one of the greatest presidents we've had, blanking. FDR was. Sorry, I just had like a brain freeze. FDR was in a wheelchair the entire time. FDR had like a terminal health condition or an ongoing health condition when he was elected president. And when he was president, he was in a wheelchair the entire time. He was not in good health, and that didn't prevent him from serving 2 terms and getting elected a 3rd time before he died. Going South says Stewart is off his rocker. Even if he's Proudhon says, even if he is a renegade, this will feed climate deniers. Yeah, climate deniers and all the right and all the left and all the people who want to, man, but you can't hold them down. Is really the actual upshot of all of that is that they keep going. Tom R says it needs to be Bernie or 4 more years of Trump. I wholeheartedly agree. And here's the deal. Not only is Bernie the best person to beat Trump, but let's say Trump is going down, because Trump is kind of melting down, and it's an awesome thing to see. Trump has multiple scandals and legal situations going on. He's got he's got high approval from his base, but I think that most there's a lot of people that are really, really tired of him. And if he's going down and there's no one there to take his place on the Republican side, we have a situation where we could basically ram through any Democrat. So let's not ram through any Democrat. Let's ram through the most radical Democrat, right? If we're worried that Bernie's too radical to beat Trump, well, if anybody can beat Trump, and actually Bernie has the highest numbers, the highest percentage of the possibility of beating Trump. And all the polls, Bernie leads against Trump, leads everyone. So not only is that whole thing not true, but if you have the situation where you can, the field is wide open for a Democrat to take it. And I think, it's kind of like after Nixon, when Jimmy Carter won, there was such a disgust for Republicans at that time. There was such a disgust for the right. And Jimmy Carter was an extremely, he wasn't radical, but he was fairly progressive, definitely for the time. And I think that, FDR served 3 terms and got elected for a 4th term? No, he got elected for a 3rd term. He didn't serve 3 terms. I think he served like 2.5 or something like that. FDR, so here, yeah, okay, that I agree with. Proudhon, FDR was a devious insider, and it took him years to achieve his aims. I don't know, maybe devious might not be the best word, but I think that FDR was a much more political animal than Bernie is. Bernie has a really good heart, and he sees, what needs to be done. He sees the problems with society, and he sees what needs to be done. He's an extremely authentic character. And I feel like he doesn't have any, he doesn't really have a lot of political machinations to what he's doing. He's just like, this is the problem and this is what I want to do. And, that's why people love him. And his plan for getting his policies enacted have nothing to do with political gamesmanship. It has everything to do with whipping up, consent, a mandate, if you will, from the people. And, the worst thing he's proposed is primarying incumbent Democrats who won't support his bills, and probably even trying to primary other Republicans, trying to take out Republicans in certain seats, anybody who's blocking him. Is that right? Okay, well then I stand corrected. Proudhon says FDR won in 32, 36, 40, and 44. Yeah, I just think that, it's a different political age for sure. I mean, back then, if you remember, the Democrats were a pretty nasty group of people, especially in like New York and Chicago, a lot of places there. The Democratic machine was extremely extremely nasty. And there were a lot of politics involved. You know, the politics were very ugly back then. Well, it looks like there's a ceasefire in with Turkey and Syria. James Michael Campbell says, what's going on in Turkey and ISIS almost assures a situation where my daughter may be fighting the very last war with sticks and stones as the human race peters out. Yeah, I mean, I think... so I think everything is kind of... They're trying to... Agus says, I love the Earth flag in the background. Thank you. Thank you so much. Guys, feel free. There's a super chat below if you'd like to contribute to the channel. You can always donate with the super chat or just keep on chatting. Also, remember that there is a gas strike tomorrow. Today is Thursday. Tomorrow's Friday. Tomorrow's the gas strike. Friday, gas strike. If you must drive tomorrow, remember to... put some gas in today so you don't have to stop and drive tomorrow. This is just our little way of supporting school strikers and, you know, the Friday climate strikes. Politics is show business for ugly people. I think in general, yes, but I also think that there's a small tide, there's a small group of people trying to change that. And, you know, it shows that the establishment doesn't like them because they smear them and try and run them down at every single turn. So I'm drinking a lot of coffee because I'm running on kind of less sleep, and it's a 120-hour ceasefire so the U.S. troops can flee. I thought they already fled. The situation is so crazy that it's hard to really even know. Environmental Coffee House, hello. It's really hard to know what is really actually happening. And I hope you guys watched the Aaron Mate, Ben Norton discussion that I linked yesterday. I hope you all checked that out, or some people checked that out. I think there was some good backstory information about the situation there. Starving Black Bears, Vancouver Island Sorrow, Mighty Mouse, yes. And I covered that last week. But so let's get back to the historic. The snowfall in the Midwest is hurting a lot of the crops. So we had a lot of late planting because of flooding. And now we have the snowstorm that is preventing a harvest from happening. And a boy in a shopping cart says, never drink coffee and then eat half a jar of peanuts. I won't do that. Have you done that? Do you have firsthand knowledge of the effects of this? River Hermit says, hope the liquor stores are open. My sister from Florida will be there, or will be here. Matt Angiano, Gray Zone is awesome. Indeed. Magical Thinking Barbie, hello. So let's look a little bit at this. An unprecedented October blizzard that hit just before harvest time has absolutely devastated farms all across the U.S. heartland. As you will see below, one state lawmaker in North Dakota is saying that the crop losses will be as devastating as we've ever seen. This is the exact scenario that I have been warning about for months, and now it has materialized. Due to the endless rain and horrific flooding early in the year, many farmers in the middle of the country faced very serious delays in getting their crops planted. So we really needed good weather at the end of the season so the crops could mature and be harvested in time, and that did not happen. Instead, the historic blizzard that we just witnessed dumped up to 2 feet of snow from Colorado to Minnesota. In fact, one city in North Dakota actually got 30 inches of snow. In the end, this is going to go down as one of the worst crop disasters that the Midwest has ever seen, and ultimately this crisis is going to affect us all. Not to mention the fact that when it warms up, all that snow is going to melt and turn into flooding, more flooding. Hapsataki, how you doing? Prudone, after no plant 19 on Twitter, there is no harvest 19. Welcome, guys. Hello to everyone. Right on, guys. Rick Perry just quit. Is there a reason why he quit? Did he quit over Syria? I don't know. So, this is just a big old fat mess. The Syrian situation. I'm all for getting the troops out. I don't think the way it was done was really, really, really sloppy and really haphazard. Hapsataki drinking my late night beer. All right. After a whole day of coding. After slaving away in front of a hot computer. Matt Angiano, good group of souls. Old souls here. Yes, indeed. Basil Peterson, thank you. Thank you for the super chat. Namaste, brothers and sisters. So let's... so I got some posts from Imogen about Nigerian flooding. There's some severe Nigerian flooding going on today. And then there's also floods in Chad and Cameroon. Floods leave thousands homeless. Heavy rains and floods this week have left at least 100,000 people homeless on both sides of the border between northern Cameroon and Chad. It's the worst flooding in the area since 2012. The military is working to evacuate those stranded by floodwaters in Kai. Heavy rains have been pouring ceaselessly, destroying houses and farms in the northern Cameroon village of Kai. Over the last 2 weeks, residents say the downpours caused Lake Maga and Logone River to overflow. 41-year-old Kai resident and cattle rancher Blaise Yunusa said he had lost his 2 houses and does not know where his goats, fowls, and cattle are. Everything is damaged. So many inhabitants lost their houses. And I was looking at the Nigerian floods, and it looks like there was, again, more crop damage in Nigeria due to the floods. Hapsutaki says, yes, Kevin, it sucks. IT sucks. IT, Seven Kings, it. Tom R, I'm 68. Am I the oldest here? I don't know. We're going to have an elder contest. Let's see who's the oldest in the chat. I think we're all on the elder side. I'm all of 52. I just turned 52. Scott Andrews, how you doing? So here's an interesting. So again, this is one of the wildest things in that CB Unglesby 65. One of the wildest things is that because of all the attention that Extinction Rebellion and Greta Thunberg are getting, Sandy, you're a spring chicken. All the attention that they're getting is causing just absolute mayhem in people's minds and in people's lives. Not necessarily in people's lives, but, people are just losing their minds around Extinction Rebellion and anybody who is a serious activist over climate change. I mean, people are really upset to be forced to think about this. But then, so another argument about anybody who's a climate activist is that they're a hypocrite. They're not doing all the things that they should be doing to fight climate change. Therefore, their message is empty and hollow. Environmental coffee house. I'm full of shit. Yes, I'm full of shit too. No. I don't know. You said I lied. Oh, I got it. No, I didn't lie. I am 52, which is the number of concurrent viewers we have currently. Okay, went up to 54. All right, Sandy. So is it guessing time? Is that what you're trying to say? Do we have to guess your age? Is Oswald Spengler, 28. Matt Angiano, 36. Trisha Francesca Jardine, she's 29. She's been 29 for the last 10 years or more. Scott Andrews, 59. Anita M, older than 50, less than 55. Prudhomme says only Dems eat avocados. It's true. It's true. Drug dealers are apparently in charge of avocados. You know, actually, avocados is a pretty good business, I guess. Apparently, I had a customer, a few months ago who was talking about growing avocados in Mexico and how they paid a certain amount of money per truck, and I was like, wow, that's a lot of money. He had a bunch of trucks. He owned the farm. Yeah, basil. I'm old enough to know better, of course. So anyways, back to what I was saying is that climate activists, especially Extinction Rebellion, are told that they're hypocrites and, they're held to a way higher standard than anybody else because if you don't care, then you don't have to do anything, right? But if you do care, then you're not doing enough. Whatever it is you're doing is not enough. Which is absolutely ridiculous. We all know that this is a structural problem. This is a political problem. This is a societal problem. This is a capitalist problem. This is a corruption problem. This is all of those things. But anyways, this news story, and we're Extinction Rebellion. This is from the Sun, so there's a little smear piece on Gail Bradbrook, who is now kind of the most visible head of Extinction Rebellion now that Roger Hallam is in jail. There's a headline: Extinker, Extinction Rebellion founder, blasted after 11,000-mile flight to Central America for luxury breakaway. So apparently she flew to Costa Rica to do a little vacation. And actually she went to a place that a good friend of mine actually just went to. What is this place called? I forget. She revealed that the holiday of her self-discovery included taking hallucinogenic drugs that inspired her calling to get with the spirit of the otter. So yeah, at this retreat, they serve you ayahuasca if you are so inclined. Bradbrook championed the Keep It Grounded mass civil disobedience campaign at City Airport last week. Her XR Army also joined with the Plain Truth procession to protest outside the World Aviation Festival in Islington, North London, last month. Twice married Bradbrook, who has been repeatedly arrested by police at protests, revealed last month how on her Costa Rica break she took West African hallucinogenic shrub ibogaine. She claimed it rewired her brain. So I don't know. I guess I'm assuming this is true, and we talked a little bit about it in the comments. This is a problem. Philip Sager, 77. Ooh, we might have a winner. This is a problem if you are, trying to shut down airports. If you're telling people, it's really hard. I'm telling people they should drive less, and yet I drive for a living, and I don't have any other options right now. It's really difficult. However, vacation is more of a choice than an obligation. It'd be one thing if she was flying because her job required it somehow, or, I don't know. It's a tough thing, but I think until you put your money where your mouth is, a la Kevin Anderson or even Greta Thunberg, I think that, it's really hard to hold other people accountable if you can't hold yourself accountable. So going south, she smeared herself on XR YouTube recently. Really? How so? I don't know. Was that talking about the same thing? Void is Yin Yang says 74 gallons for 1 pound of avocados, and California grows over 90% of avocados for U.S. It's a huge industry, and obviously people love their avocados. I'm one of those people. However, I'm currently growing my own avocado tree, hopefully to have my own avocados. Millions of gallons of water for fracking. So if those avocados were grown locally and not shipped all over the world or shipped all over the states, it would be one thing, but that's not what's happening. Hapsataki, Grand Solar Maximum, ma'am. Oh, okay. What does this say? Hapsataki says hysterious tempo in those hallucinogenic news. Kevin, you sounded like an auctioneer. Yeah, if only I can get a day job as an auctioneer. It'd be a little bit weird for me, though. Salesman was never my calling. But auctioneer, I guess you just ramble a lot of words and point at people, right? Mushrooms are a spiritual drug. Yeah, I have no problem with ayahuasca or mushrooms or anything that people... I actually have no problem. I myself am straight edge, what they call straight edge. I don't smoke or drink or do drugs. But I have no problem with people doing whatever it is they need to do with coping, to cope with the world. I have no problem with that. Oswald Spengler, Brad Brook thinks she's a shaman. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, so I have no problem with people doing that, but I also have a problem with people, I don't know. A lot of times the truth or right action is just really very simple. It's right in front of your face, and you don't really need to go do a drug to go I see how it all works now. And generally, a lot of times people just do a drug and then they go, I see how it all works now. And then they just go do the same thing. So it's how spiritual was it? If it wasn't just a little, going to the movies inside your head, which is fine if that's what you want to do. But just be honest about the fact that it just might be watching a movie inside your head. And yes, Fun Games says, I think living clean is the best. And I have to tell you, I have never enjoyed my life. I mean, life is difficult, life is hard, life has struggle, but I have never been more clear and more grounded and, more open to the good things in life than I ever have in my life. I'm in the best health of my life, and I haven't had a drink in 17 years or any drugs in 17 years. Anyways, coping is just doping without the line in the CD letter. Yeah. Anyways, free pot would solve all drug problems, and and I also I support Andrew Yang in his quest to decriminalize opiates and all drugs. I think drugs should be definitely should be decriminalized. I encourage people to not do drugs or not drink, but do what you want to do. Just don't hurt anybody in your doing. We have 66 viewers. Please like the video so that we can get more viewers. I'm only going to go a few more minutes. Trisha Francesca says, I totally agree. It's a good lifestyle. Yeah. Yeah. Oswald says Hambo needs to start going to AA meetings. I don't know. I don't know. Not here to talk about or make assumptions about anybody else's problem, but anyways, Extinction Rebellion also has, let me see. Hold on. So Extinction Rebellion has defied the ban on protesting by Extinction Rebellion. So they're like, screw you, Jack. Rebel Daily 8, the rules must be broken. So day 9 in Extinction Rebellion across the world was a day of contrast. In London, we witnessed a disturbing attack on civil rights, rightly condemned by Amnesty International lawyers and politicians. And on the same day, our society's elders came out to protest with humor and bravery, wisdom meeting repression. There was another article I wanted to read on this, and I don't know where it is. Sorry, I'm getting bugged. Here we go. I think this is it. Extinction Rebellion defies blanket ban on climate protests in London. Activists with Global Extinction Rebellion movement vowed to remain in the streets demanding climate action after London Metropolitan Police Monday night imposed a citywide protest ban that lawmakers and human rights groups condemned as chilling and unlawful. Extinction Rebellion UK quickly signaled that it would refuse to comply with the police order, which the group said is legally dubious. George Monbiot, a columnist for The Guardian and supporter of the Extinction Rebellion movement, said the truncation of the right to protest by London police intensifies the moral case for taking action. My plans have not changed, tweeted Monbiot, who said he intends to get arrested Tuesday. This last Tuesday morning, Extinction Rebellion campaigners returned to the streets to continue their peaceful protests and nonviolent civil disobedience as police gathered in Trafalgar Square to block demonstrations. It ain't over till it's over, Extinction Rebellion tweeted Tuesday morning in response to the protest ban. We refuse to bequeath a dying planet to future generations by failing to act now. We act in peace with ferocious love of life in our hearts. We act on behalf of life. Our international rebellion continues. That's good. They should defy the ban. They should just keep on going. All of this intensifies the visibility of the group and what they're doing, and continues. Gene says, "Hola, my fellow apes." Pink Barrio, hi all. A protest is not a protest if you have to get permission. Exactly. So to get back to Gail Bradbrook, I think it's imperative that the leaders of the movement, don't look like they're entitled industrial civilization or entitled first worlders, living the life while they're protesting, the system. I just, you got to do better. If that's true, if she did go on this vacation, you got to do better than that. You're going to have to, do the ayahuasca at home. Do it at a campsite that you biked to or something. That's not to say that I don't get on planes. I do. I think you can't shame everybody for everything that they do. It's really hard to do. We live in this society. We live in this world. And protesting the situation, even though you're living, with all the amenities of society, doesn't necessarily mean, you can't call it out for what it is. Uh, but we do need systemic change. And so that systemic change needs to be thought out, planned, considered, talked about, and also acted upon. Commuters are cracking down on XR? Maybe so. I saw a really good interview on the BBC with a few of the XR, or one of the XR people, Rupert Reed, Dr. Rupert Reed. It was like a panel, question panel, and a few of the audience members were really pretty cool about it. They were like, yeah, it really, the protesters, blocked traffic and caused, some turmoil in my day, and it was, a pain in the ass. And she's like, and one of them said, but 20 years from now, nobody's going to remember, being upset today. Everybody's going to remember if we didn't do anything about climate change, right? So, excellent point. Shaming is a desperate media, says Trisha. Yes. I mean, and they're going to, you pretty much have to just kind of say, so what, and continue on with your business. So what? Keep on going. There's plenty of climate scientists who, fly to these international meetings and, fly to do some business. I'm not saying, I don't necessarily think that's a great thing, but it's what happens, because this is the world we live in. But, it would be great to not only propose, but to actually organize some localized communities or localized communes or, living situations where people can demonstrate what it is to live in a different world. Like, here's where we're going to live. Here's where we're going to grow our own food. We're not going to use airplanes or, private transportation, cars. We're going to, ride share or take bikes would be the best option, or, bikes or foot. It would be great if we had communities that were visible to people, like this is how we could live. And then they could put their money where their mouth is, and they could be an example, and they could say, this is what we're doing. How about you? Lot of XR members eating crow today. How so, going south? Human says blocking traffic is silly with crazy drivers anywhere. Greenpeace totally in the pockets of the establishment. Well, yeah. I don't know if they're totally in the pocket. I mean, I think they do right actions. I think they do, their best to block, fossil fuel operations and to raise awareness. They are a large organization, and they've been around for a while, and they're, I don't know about the political ins and outs. Going South says they look ugly. People are distancing themselves. How so? How do they look ugly? Are you talking about the tube actions or what? I mean, this is an evolving movement, and I think what they have done so far to get people to to understand that there's a problem, even, or to admit, I think is pretty amazing. But maybe they need to evolve their tactics. I don't know. Cynthia Kerr says there are no more real farmers anymore, especially in the USA. Agribusiness is not farming. True, but there are some small farmers. There are family farmers out there that are trying. London Tube train blocking was so stupid, says Going South. I don't know. I'm gonna have to look into that story a little more, because I only saw that out of the corner of my eye, and I'm not familiar completely with what happened. They were dragged down and beaten up by commuters. Wow, that's crazy. Void says he worked for Greenpeace full time 1996. And your experience was? Gene says, I think Extinction Rebellion looks strong and passionate. D-Truth, hello. Hello and goodbye. Sorry, I'm probably about to sign off in about 2 minutes. But welcome, D-Truth. Glad you're here. 75 viewers. Hit that like button on the video. And let me see, the documentary. Rudolph Margenius says, if you want to see a great example of more sustainable form of agriculture, see The Biggest Little Farm. It's the best doc on regenerative agriculture I've seen. John Keel says there are small farmers. Yeah, there are small farmers. There are family farms out there. It's not all agribusiness, though a lot of it is. But there are people out there trying. Tricia says, hope commuters were done for assault. The public are rude and angry. Commuters are the ones to be blamed, not protesters. No delay can justify violence. See, there you go. So they were nonviolent, and the commuters went violent. How does that make Extinction Rebellion look bad? It makes the commuters look bad or mad? I don't know. Or just prisoners to... commuters are just prisoners to the system, right? They got to go to work. Basil says, anyone here see the obscure BBC documentary Century of the Self? Describes how corporate rulers design the individual consumer. I have actually seen that. Individual Consumerism Society, designed by Edward Bernays, Sigmund Freud. That is a great documentary, and it's actually it's free on YouTube, so just look that up. Century of the Self is excellent. And also frustrating and scary and disgusting. But yeah. Yes, it's on YouTube. Proudhon. All right, guys, I got to sign off. Thank you so much for joining me today. We got up to 75 viewers, something like that. Too bad on a Thursday. I appreciate y'all. And I will see you hopefully next Thursday at this very same time, 1 p.m. And enjoy the rest of y'all's day. Y'all's day. Okay, I'm going to finish that with some some messed up sign off. All right. Peace, y'all. Yep.